for me?" I looked. In her hand was my letter to Bolus. Phew! "Listen, Teresa, what is the meaning of all this? Why must you get others to write for you when I have already written it, and you haven't sent it?" "Sent it where?" "Why, to this Bolus." "There's no such person." I absolutely did not understand it. There was nothing for me but to spit and go. Then she explained. "What is it?" she said, still offended. "There's no such person, I tell you." And she extended her arms as if she herself did not understand why there should be no such person. "But I wanted him to be. Am I then not a human creature like the rest of them? Yes, yes, I know, of course. Yet no harm was done to any one by my writing to him that I can see." "Pardon me? To whom?" "To Bolus, of course." "But he doesn't exist?" "Alas, alas! But what if he doesn't? He doesn't exist, but he might. I write to him, and it looks as if he did exist. And Teresa, that's me, and he replies to me, and then I write to him again." I understood at last, and I felt so sick, so miserable, so ashamed somehow. Alongside of me, not 3 yards away, lived a human creature who had nobody in the world to treat her kindly, affectionately, and this human being had invented a friend for herself. "Look now, you wrote me a letter to Bolus, and I gave it to someone else to read it to me. And when they read it to me, I listened and fancied that Bolus was there. And I asked you to write me a letter from Bolus to Teresa, that is, to me. When they write such a letter for me, and read it to me, I feel quite sure that Bolus is there, and life grows easier for me in consequence." "Deuce take you for a blockhead," said I to myself when I heard this. And from thenceforth, regularly, twice a week, I wrote a letter to Bolus, and an answer from Bolus to Teresa. I wrote those answers well. She, of course, listened to them, and wept like anything, roared, I should say, with her bass voice. And in return for my thus moving her to tears by real letters from the imaginary Bolus, she began to mend the holes I had in my socks, shirts, and other articles of clothing. Subsequently, about 3 months after this history began, they put her in prison for something or other. No doubt by this time she is dead. My acquaintance shook the ash from his cigarette, looked pensively up at the sky, and thus concluded. "Well, well, the more a human creature has tasted of bitter things, the more it hungers after the sweet things of life. And we, wrapped round in the rags of our virtues, and regarding others through the mist of our self-sufficiency, and persuaded of our universal impeccability, do not understand this. And the whole thing turns out pretty stupidly, and very cruelly. The falling classes, we say. And who are the falling classes, I should like to know? They are, first of all, people with the same bones, flesh, and blood and nerves as ourselves. We have been told this day after day for ages. And we actually listen, and the devil only knows how hideous the whole thing is. Or are we completely depraved by the loud sermonizing of humanism? In reality, we also are fallen folks, and, so far as I can see, very deeply fallen into the abyss of self-sufficiency and the conviction of our own superiority. But enough of this. It is all as old as the hills, so old that it is a shame to speak of it. Very old indeed. Yes, that's what it is. End of Her Lover by Maxim Gorky.